Passionators, I'm back. I appreciate your patience. Best laid plans, right? I was supposed to be here a few minutes ago, and I tried, but I just couldn't make it right on time. But here I am. So, if you'd like to come in, come on, let's talk about this relationship thing. You know, that's what I do. It's what I love to do the most. So, let's talk about it. Today's topic du jour comes from my inbox because it's a question that comes up frequently in my inbox. So, the biggest problem in relationships. That's that leaves a lot of playground to work with, particularly from what I've experienced personally, just with people that I've actually worked with face to face, one on one, up close and personal, and also what the current trend in research is showing. Throw in a little bit of personal experience. And if I had to distill it down to one thing, it would absolutely be honesty in all its forms, especially the hesitancy, the resistance, the absolute unwillingness of so many people to be honest with themselves about themselves and about what it is they actually want in a relationship and what they're willing to do the work to have. That's what, if I had to distill it down to one thing, it would be that. People do much better in their relationships when they are just straight up honest about what they really want and what they're willing to do the work to have. Many times, people confuse those two things. And they think that because they have some kind of a vague feeling that they want something, or that they have some kind of strong desire to have something, that it actually means that that's what they're willing to have. And most of the time, what people are willing to want and what they're willing to actually have are two entirely different things. For whatever reason, that seems to be a difficult concept for people to grasp. And we've been doing it since we were kids. We've done it so many times. All of those times when we were at the table and we were hungry before we got there and we piled all that stuff on our plates that we thought we wanted. And then we got to the table and found out we couldn't eat it all. Same concept. Or I know all of you all can relate to this one. Christmas. You're getting ready for Christmas and you're buying all this stuff for these kids that you just love so much because they have ranted and raved and hollered and screamed because they just had to have it. And then they got it. And Christmas Day came, wrapping paper was everywhere, and the screams and the OMGs and the what am I gonna do? And 3 days later, if it took that long, they were playing with the box. If they were playing with anything at all related to it. By then, the thrill was gone and they were back to the toys that they had been playing with before. I know you all have seen that. And it is the same concept when we decide what we want in relationships. When I talk to people about these things, they are very quick to roll out the scroll on what they want. They got a long list of wants. Desires and needs and requirements and all that stuff that they decided they are not going to be without if they're going to be in a relationship. And a relationship isn't going to be right unless they have those things. Well, here's the problem with that. Most people, when they make this list, have absolutely no idea of what people who 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 would actually fulfill those lists want in their relationships. Because everybody that you want, they want something too. And if you're not what they want, you'll never connect with them. That's how that works. That is how that works. So for all of you who are looking for eye candy has a sweet tooth too. And just because you decided that you want somebody isn't enough to make them want you back. It has to be mutual. They have to see something in you that they want, just like you see something in them that you want. If it doesn't work both ways, that's when you start doing this manipulative stuff. And how well is that working for anybody? Just asking. How many people do you know who have lied their way, manipulated their way, bullied their way into a lasting, loving, intimate relationship? Don't worry, I'll wait. It doesn't work, but people keep doing it. They keep doing it. It's like, why do they keep doing it? Because it's what they've been doing. Because people are creatures of habit, even bad habits. They'll continue bad habits just because they're used to bad habits. Even though it's not getting them what they want. Even though it isn't giving them the results that they say they desire the most. They'll keep doing it because it's what they've been doing and they're comfortable with it. So the biggest relationship problem is honesty. You want a lot of stuff that you just aren't willing to have. How do you know you're not willing to have it? Because you aren't willing to do what's required to maintain it. If you want somebody who's fit and healthy and you live a fast food lifestyle, you don't really want somebody who's fit and healthy. You just want somebody who's fit and healthy. Because it makes sense to want somebody who's fit and healthy. They're usually fine, they're fabulous, they are definitely disciplined, or they wouldn't be fit and healthy. And their health is a priority with them. That's why they look the way they look, that's why they live the way they live. But while you're rolling up into your favorite fast food restaurant, ordering everything on the menu except please and thank you, you decide to get mad because fit and healthy isn't trying to live that way, isn't going to make them live that way. They're not going to that fast food place with you. And they're not going to help you get there because they're on their way back to the gym, or they're on their way out to the track, or they're on their way to do whatever it is they do to stay fit and healthy. And rolling up to that fast food joint isn't on that list. So if that's the lifestyle you live, claim it. If you're not willing to change it, then stop fooling yourself into believing that you can have fit and healthy day to day. How would you even talk to each other? What are you going to talk about? They have fit and healthy people have an entirely different agenda from fast food people. Doesn't make one person any better than the other person. Just makes them incompatible. Very incompatible. So don't fool yourself into believing that you can be, as a fast food person, what a fit, healthy person would actually want to be with. It doesn't work that way. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. A lot of people want to believe that drivel, that's real popular to say that you can have whatever you want. Nope. You could have what wants you. That's what you can have. You want a lot of stuff. It doesn't want you back. How do I know this? One way I know it for sure is from what's filling up my inbox and what's calling me on the phone. A lot of you want stuff that doesn't want you back. You want people who don't want you back. And you are bent over trying to figure out a way to make them want you. And you want me to help you do it. And then you get upset when I have no magic for you. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. You can't make anybody want you. Now then, when you actually meet somebody who does want you, you have something that you can work with. And just because you see somebody that you think you want doesn't mean that you would actually enjoy having them. You just like wanting them. Because it makes sense. Because that's what you're supposed to want. But if you're incompatible with it, you cannot have that. You can only have what you are willing to do the work to maintain. I'm going to say that again. You can only have what you are willing to do the work to maintain. You are not entitled to anything. Nobody's going to show up with a magic wand to bestow on you everything that you think you want just because you think you want it. That's not how that's going to happen. Just because you walked in the room doesn't mean you're going to get everything you think you deserve. And quite frankly, you should be glad. Because I'm pretty sure that if you tried real hard, you could go through your memory bank just a little bit and find more than a few times when you thought you wanted something that you didn't get. And later on, you were really glad you didn't get it because you dodged a big old bullet. Because the fact is, when we want stuff, that's all about how we believe it is before we have it. It's not about how it actually is. It's about our fantasy of it. The reality is an entirely different matter. That's why so many people get disappointed wanting stuff. Because what they want is between their ears. What they want is how they believe it's going to be. I've been on the phone too many times with people who have said that about getting married. They wanted to get married. They needed to get married. Oh my goodness, if I don't get married, I'm going to die. And then they got married. And after that, the phone calls were very different. I didn't know it was going to be. I didn't expect it to have. What am I supposed to do with this? Nobody told me. Reality is a very different thing from what you think you want. Now, all those things can be avoided. Not that you won't ever be surprised, or not that it won't be, or not that the reality will be different than what you imagined it in any way at all. Yeah, it will be. But you could eliminate a whole lot of that just by being honest. Just by actually thinking and stop feeling so much. Not because your emotions are going to go away or because they should go away, but they definitely should not be making choices for you. And that's the mistake that too many people are making. They're making choices below the waist, and they have to live with the consequences above the waist. They're making choices lying down, and they're living with consequences standing up. Hello? Is this thing on? Am I talking to myself, or is somebody else out there with me? I'm just saying. It's happening. It's still happening. And it's happening with adults, fully formed adults who are old enough to know better. They're making decisions lying down and living with consequences standing up, and now they're mad. They're mad about the consequences. They're mad about the consequences they chose. You put yourself in that position. You willingly put yourself in that position. And now you're upset about the outcome. You had every indication before you decided to go any further that wasn't going to turn out well for you. And you did it anyway. Now, I'm not talking about the people who actually got fooled or manipulated into believing something was one way, and then once they got there, they found out it was a different way. Not talking about that. Because that happens too. Unfortunately, it happens quite often. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the red flags were flying and waving and wrapped around your head before you decided, ooh, it's a good idea to get tied to that. Oh my goodness, you know what? That looked real crazy and it makes me feel real bad. So my answer to that, my solution to that, my resolution for that is, it's time for us to get in a relationship. Maybe I should ask for some keys. Oh my God, they better put a ring on it. How'd that work for you? You see the flags flying before you get into the relationship, and you get into it anyway, thinking that you'll be able to magically change things once you get into the relationship. Getting into a relationship does two things. It multiplies the good things, it magnifies the good things. It's a wonderful thing for good things. And the bad things get intensified. So whatever was bothering you a little bit while you were dating is going to bother you a lot once you get married. And a bigger twist to the story is a lot of things that you thought were cute in the beginning are going to start bothering you later on. Because from a distance, things look different than they do up close. Every now and then, things feel differently than they do every single day. But you have these ideas about what that's going to be. You both start talking about being in a relationship, and because you're using the same words, you think you're saying the same things, and you're not. You start throwing around words like fidelity and loyalty and trust and comfort and safety and covenant and all that good stuff. And you think because you're using the same words, you're saying the same things. And you're not. And you would know that if you ever asked the question. Here's an example. Couples talking to each other, okay? And one of them says to the other one, yeah, I'm looking to settle down. It's just time to settle down. And the other person hears that and thinks, oh, they're looking for a relationship. So am I. I like being around them. They seem to like being around me. Maybe we can make this happen. They say that to themselves. They don't say it to the other person. And so they automatically assume that when that person says, I'm thinking about settle down. Yeah, it's time for me to settle down. I think I'm ready to settle down. They hear that and they get all excited because they want to settle down right about now. Yeah, they seem to like each other and all that good stuff. And they want a good person and they are a good person. So bada boom, bada bing, this should happen right now. And when it doesn't, that's when my phone starts ringing. Well, they led me on, and why did they lead me to believe? Well, they said they wanted, and that's what I want. Why isn't it working that way? It's like, because they said they were ready to settle down. They didn't say they wanted to settle down with you. Just want to let that sink in for a minute. People say they want a lot of things, and they just might. but that doesn't mean that they want them with you. Stop assuming that because they said it to you, that they want it with you. If they didn't tell you that they wanted it with you, then stop assuming that they do. Reading in meaning that you want to be there when it's not actually there is one of the biggest relationship problems there is. Goes right back to being honest. You hear things that haven't been said. You assume things that haven't been done. You figure things that aren't there. You manufacture stuff that fits whatever your fantasy is about what you think you want. And because the other person that you're with is the closest approximation in your life at that time of what you think you want, you attach them to what it is that you want, and it may not be them. It may have very little to do with who they actually are as a person. And it has everything to do with what you got going on between your ears. Like one of my good friends used to say, that's your movie. You wrote that movie. That script, that direction, that production, the whole nine, casting, everything. You did all that. You did it. It's happening between your ears. And that's why it feels so real to you. Because it's happening between your ears. So it is real. But it's only real to you. You haven't had a conversation with them. You haven't talked to the other person about what that means. When somebody says to you, I'm ready to settle down, you don't even know what that means to them. You have absolutely no idea what that means to them. And you don't ask. You assume it means whatever you want it to mean. If you want it to mean that they're about to move in with you, then that's what you think it means. If you want it to mean that you're about to be in an exclusive relationship only with each other, then that's what you think it means. If you think it means that they want to get married, then that's what it's going to mean for you to you. Has nothing to do with them because you never asked what it's going to mean to them. And it's a very simple question. You may want to keep it in your on speed dial so you can pull it out the next time this situation arises. What does that look like for you?
Matthew, you're not holding it. You're not holding it.
Very simple question. You should be using it frequently. And an honest answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know to make an informed decision about whether or not you can actually be in a healthy, happy, lasting relationship with that person. Providing that they tell you the truth and you actually are willing to hear the truth that they tell you, it will tell you everything you need to know about whether to proceed any further from where you are right now. That's just a mini coaching session that I decided to throw in because the weather is beautiful and it's a holiday weekend and because you hung with me for so long. I just hope that in this mini coaching that you got something useful and that you're willing to share with other people who may benefit as well. Thank you for tuning in. I will be back again, and I will be reading your comments. I really appreciate all of you who showed up. As always, thank you so much for spending some time with me, for just letting me share some insights with you that I've found out the hard way in many cases, that I've actually researched and that other people in pain have brought to me. So my mission here is to alleviate as much pain as I possibly can. And before I go, I just want to say one more thing. In honor of this Veterans Day, I want to say thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for your sacrifice, for your family sacrifice, to all veterans, past, present, and future, and especially to those who made the ultimate sacrifice so that I could live this life of relative comfort and ease that I live in this country that affords me so many freedoms that are denied to so many other people. I cannot thank you enough. But I have absolutely no problem trying. So from my heart to all of yours, and to your families, and to your futures, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Passionators, that's about it for this one. If you want me to come back today, let me know. I got a little bit of time and a little bit of sun left, so maybe we could do this again. If there's something that you want to talk about, PM me, inbox me, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, go back to your barbecue, get back to your family, whatever you're doing this holiday to enjoy, to celebrate, to pay homage, go back and do that. Spread some more love today. And if you find a veteran, give them a hug. Say thank you. Just let them know you care and that their sacrifice matters to you. I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.